It's time to make the magic happen. It's my coffee. I need coffee. Hey everybody, your friendly GM Bobby here, back for another session of Ask Bobby. This is the segment where I answer questions that you guys send to me, you know, because you think that I know something. Today we've got a couple of really great questions that come from our Patreon patrons over at patreon.com/complexaction. But before I get into that, I want to take care of a couple of pieces of really exciting news. First, I'm coming out with a new video series. It's called The Road to Gen Con. It's going to document the journey of myself and my brother-in-law Tyler to Gen Con. We've never been to a gaming convention before, so we thought we'd share our experience to get some help from you guys and also to help benefit other people who may not have ever been to a convention before and are going for the first time. The next piece of Patreon news is that thanks to you guys and your generous support that you've given me, I have hit the milestone where I'm going to make some GM screen stickers and send them out to all my patrons. But I've decided to wait a little bit longer because I want as many people as possible to be able to have the opportunity to get some of these cool stickers that I got designed. These stickers are really cool. They were designed by a friend of mine who I've mentioned before, Aaron Johnson, who runs the Malarkey TV YouTube channel. You should go check that out. If you sign up to be a patron of any level by the end of February, then I will send you a sheet of these stickers. So the last quick bit of business I want to handle is to give a quick shout out to all my Patreon patrons that I got back in January. So thank you very much Clayton Cross, the Arcology Podcast, Tom Rim, James Wallace, Travis, Stephen Hattie, Matthew Agler, Brad Laney, Nicholas Edgerson, I'm terrible with names, Eric Damage, Faster N8, Faster Nate, Jordan Hampton, and Mathisius. Thank you guys so much. It's really exciting to get the support from you guys. So let's go ahead and tackle the questions for today. First question comes from Jordan Hampton over at Patreon. He asks, how does a GM handle situations when part of the team wants to be professional, non-lethal, and tactical, when others just want to barge in and default to APDS rounds versus rent-a-cops? I don't want to kill them off yet. I like the use of yet. But I do want to try and teach the more rash ones that there are consequences to murder. So there's a couple of ways you could approach this question, and really there's a lot to unpack. So what I'm going to focus on is some methods for training your players to approach the situation in a different way. Alright, so you've got some players who want to just bust in with their machine guns and explosives and just blow the place to bits and get the job done. How do you get them to think differently? Now there's a couple of ways to go about this, and it really depends a lot on how your players play and what type of players they are. The first method that I like to use is called the guilt method. Now this method works if your players are strongly focused on role play and if they have sort of an emotional approach to their game and they get connected with each other and with NPCs. What you want to get them to do is to see that they're not just mindless guards that you've just shot down. These are actually people that had lives. So maybe they happen upon or overhear a news report about the office building that they just busted up. Maybe the news report states that several guards were found dead, and maybe during that report an interview is done from a little girl who happened to be the daughter of one of those security guards. And maybe she's crying, and maybe she just wants her daddy back because he's not going to get to see her ballet recital now. And then you listen to your players go, oh God, oh, what have we done? Maybe they'll think twice next time before they just start randomly capping people and blowing buildings up. And maybe make them consider using gel rounds or stick and shock next time. The second approach I like to call righteous vengeance. Now this is where someone is going to get payback for what they did. Perhaps what they hit was a mega corporation, or it's a small business whose parent company is a large mega corporation. Either way, that mega corporation doesn't like having its assets blown up and having their heads shot off. They're gonna find out who did this and send a team after them. The mega corporations don't want to look bad, so they have to appear like they won't tolerate this kind of thing. Now, some people will argue that this is not a realistic approach. Most of the time, mega corporations aren't gonna spend the assets and resources to track them down. They're small fry and they've got bigger things to worry about. But you as a GM can work around that. How do you pull that off? Well, maybe this mega corporation has somebody on the board or a high-up CEO who just happened to have a brother who just got out of rehab and he's been struggling with his family and his drug addiction, and he's finally overcome it, and he's just trying to get back on his feet. So this CEO, well, he decided to help his brother out and give him a small-time job as a guard in this corporation. And you just killed his brother, and now he'll never have a chance to get back on his feet, and now his family is going to be starving and miserable. So he's decided to track you guys down and, you know, enact righteous vengeance. Now, the third approach I have is a less direct approach. It's called the reputation approach. This is an approach that many GMs are already familiar with, and it actually spells it out a little bit in the core rulebook. The idea is that employers who are hiring people to perform these illegal activities, they don't want it getting back to them. They want to be left out. You're supposed to be a deniable asset, and the more noise you make, the less deniable you become. So, if you get a reputation for creating a lot of noise and doing a lot of killing, you're going to get a reputation for not being trustworthy, and you're going to get less jobs. Great question, Jordan Hampton. The next question is from Jordan Hampton again? The next question's... let me check that. Apparently, the next question is also from Jordan Hampton. You get a twofer today. The question is, any tips for keeping Meat, Magic, and Matrix all involved at once, but not slowing things down too much for any one group? So this is a quintessential GMing question. It's always a concern about making sure that your players all have kind of equal time and don't get too bored. It's not just a problem with Shadowrun, it transcends all types of role-playing games where you have different roles for different players. The crux of how I handle this problem is that I always try to have something for everybody to be doing. Now, there are different ways to approach that, but that's kind of like the core. The one that I like to use the most is I kind of, when I run my games, try to imagine everything in sort of a cinematic way, like a movie or a TV show. In a movie or a TV show, you've got different characters, and the scene shifts from different characters back and forth, not spending too much time on one person. That keeps things interesting, also keeps everybody's stories moving along nicely, which is exactly what you're trying to do with the different people in your role-playing games. So I kind of try to keep a mental track of how long each person has had screen time in our game, and if it's gone on a little bit too long, I just jut in and I say, well, before we do that, let's move on to this person, and what are you gonna do? There are some natural ways to do that. Let's say you're in the middle of doing something and somebody needs to look up a rule in order to do the thing that they're trying to do. While they're looking up the rule, that is a golden opportunity for you to say, while you're looking that up, let me know once you've found it, I'm gonna move over here. Now, if the source of the problem with pacing is that certain sets of rules are slowing things down, like the Matrix rules are difficult to understand or the Magic rules are hard to grasp, then the solution to that is just fudge the rules and keep things moving. If the rules are holding you back and keeping you from having fun because it's slugging things down and making everything just move at a snail's pace, then the rules are doing you harm and you just need to ignore them. The final question is from Clayton Cross over at Patreon. He asks, would you possibly do a video explaining how rigor, hot sim, running silent, noise, smart system, use of drones, and gunnery work? It seems like you can only hot sim into one drone and it gets a ton of bonuses and reductions, then the rest of your drones are just fodder. Thanks for any answer. I know it's a lot. Well, you know what, Clayton Cross? It is a lot. But here at Complex Action, our motto is, we fail to disappoint. That is a terrible slogan. It's like double, triple negatives and confusing. I am going to answer all of your questions. So buckle in and here we go. Hot Sim. It works just like Matrix Hot Sim. You get a plus 3d6 to your initiative, also a plus 1 die pool bonus to all of your Matrix actions and your vehicle tests. Additionally, biofeedback damage is going to be physical, which means that your drones, vehicles, when they take damage, that has the potential to come back to you as physical damage. Running silent, again, works just like the Matrix. You're harder to detect, however, you get a -2 dice pool modifier to anything that you try to do while you're running silent. If you want some more details about that and how it works, check page 235 of the SR5 core rulebook, Matrix section. It explains running silent. Noise. It's only an issue for riggers if you are controlling things wirelessly, which for drone riggers is most of the time. So you're gonna have to deal with noise. If you're plugged in directly to the thing that you're controlling, like with a vehicle, maybe you're plugged in with a wire, there's no noise. Your rigger control console helps out tremendously here. Your rigger control console often has noise reduction built in that helps you when you're wirelessly controlling stuff as a rigger. If you want to know some more details about how noise reduction works on your RCC, check page 267 of the SR5 core rulebook. Gunnery. You just use this skill to fire mounted weapons on vehicles and drones, period. That's all there is to it. If your drone is running on its own, it's autopilot, it's not going to use a gunnery skill, it's going to use its pilot rating plus its weapon specific targeting autosoft rating in order for it to fire the weapon, because the drone itself is firing the weapon. Okay, finally, to answer your question about controlling multiple drones at one time, yes, you can only jump into one drone at a time. However, your rigger control console allows you to quickly jump from drone to drone without having to pull all the way out of it and back into another one. So you can hop from this drone to this drone to this drone. Now, you can also issue commands to your drones, other drones, while you're jumped into one drone. You can even issue commands to multiple drones at once, as long as it's the same command that you're issuing to those drones. Clayton Cross, I hope that answers your question. People will probably correct me in the comments below because I get things wrong sometimes. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that and learned something. I know I did, and I had tons of fun. If you guys want to ask me questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. If you want your questions to have priority, head on over to Patreon and consider becoming a Patreon patron. It's patreon.com/complexaction. Leave your questions there once you've become a patron, and they will get priority on being answered on these weekly episodes that I do. Also, GMs out there, let me know in the comments how you guys handle balancing screen time among the different groups of players that you have at your table. It's a difficult problem, and I'd like to see how you guys handle it yourselves. Until next time, bye-bye. Hey, I just got this for Christmas. There was a t-shirt inside of it. I'm thinking about putting a light inside there. Just like putting a light in here and ding, lighten up. So look, so maybe it'll sit over here. Oh God.